Okay, so now to deal with the zonal statistics, that's going to let us define these polygon zones, and then we can set either to do all or to do any number of statistics on them, but we want basically the mean or the median. They end up being the same anyway. For zonal statistics, to find out which one of these demonstrates overall within its zone the highest number basically for focal statistic variety. So if this cell has one land cover type found within a kilometer of it, and this one has 21, which one of these has the overall highest land cover variety? So that's what we're looking to do with zonal statistics. I tend to always run it as a table. I get better results, and then I don't have to be picky about this. I can look at all of them and ask myself if they make sense. It's just an easier way, I think, to evaluate your results overall. So remember, the first thing is our zone data. That's going to be the polygons. I think the ID is tricky, and I think some of you may have had problems with this. Let me move this out of the way and see if it'll let me look up here. If we look in the attribute table, you'll see that ID, they're all given the ID of 1, but they have unique identifiers in the FID. So if you run zonal statistics on these 6 polygons, but your table only has 1 result in it, it's because, well, first of all, you'd expect to have 6 because we have 6 polygons, and so if you get something other than 6, something is wrong. But the thing that probably went wrong is if it's defaulting to ID and you only have the value of 1 for all the IDs, it's going to treat them as the same thing. So you want a unique identifier in your zone field, and FID is the only thing that really works there, or I guess the one that makes the most sense. So you do need to change that to FID. Your value raster is going to be the focal statistics, and just I will put in the rectangle one. Our output table, I'm just going to leave there, but I'll call it zonal statistics on the rectangle so I can keep them straight, and I'm going to run it on all statistics, and then we'll take a look at those results and pick them apart. Okay, so opening this up, first of all, there should be 6. That's the first thing that we want to make sure of, is that we have 6 results, 1 for each polygon. The count is a proxy for the size, because this is the number of cells that fall within that polygon. But here's where the stuff kind of matters. And it doesn't really, I mean, there is a reason to care about whether it's the mean, the median, the min, max, blah, blah, blah. But for ours, you can see that they're all kind of the same. So I just sorted this descending. We have basically 4 of them that have a mean variety of 13. It's rounding these guys up to 14. That makes perfect sense. This guy's 12. This guy's 12. So really, they're all almost the exact same when you consider the coarseness of the data. But technically speaking, 13.85 to 12, I mean, they're really barely separated by even 1. So, you know, take this with a grain of salt. I think a lot of people would argue that in general, these are all very similar. For land cover, I think that just one land cover type different basically isn't enough to say that there is a really big difference between any of these. Now if we look at just the max, this one has as many as 15 different, this one has as many as 12 different found within it someplace, but the actual mean and median tell a pretty different story. They're very close. Well, this isn't really much, 15, it's 1 extra. Alright, so that's that one. Let's look at the zonal statistics. I'm going to run it on the circle and save film time here. 1 second. Okay, sorry, I just saved a little bit of time. I just ran zonal statistics on the circle focal neighborhood, and you can see that it turns out pretty much the same, but the numbers are a little bit lower, which I think is a little bit interesting. here we have a range from 10 to 13 instead of 14 to, what was it, 12. So not a big deal, but that's how much you should hang your hat on the precision associated with this data. So whether we have 13.8 down to 12 or 13.2 down to 10, what's the right answer? Well, can you honestly say that there is a right answer, or is there just kind of a ballpark? And I would say here we're talking about a ballpark of about 10 different land cover types found within each one of these. So, shame on me for creating an exercise that is kind of lame in that capacity, but I think the overall ability to have a conversation about how do we tease the results out here. Some of you were looking at other things, like the fact that there's some big wetlands and actual like standing water on these two, and I did used to have a hydrology data set that I also had you do an erase on, but I took it out because I thought, okay, well, it's just one more step. It's doing another erase. You're already demonstrating that you know how to do a clip and erase by getting that far. But in general, looking at the aerial photograph, at least some of you noticed that there are some complicating, realities to the landscape. This kind of analysis for this project is a little bit lame, but the actual workflow is super logical and is applied to a whole bunch of different things. So try and keep it in that bigger context. And I think there's just always that importance of being able to have the conversations about the connection between the accuracy or scale of these things versus the accuracy, precision, and scale of our larger landscape analysis with the focal statistics. And then we're not gonna take these results and say that this one for sure has higher land cover variety than this one when they're really so close. And yes, I am asking you to do that. I did ask you to rank that, but in the real world, I'm glad that we can have a conversation about this where we can say, really technically there is no difference here. And I hope that makes sense, and I hope that that's more illuminating than frustrating for you. Because I don't mean it to be frustrating, although, if you aren't frustrating when you're doing this, frustrated a little bit, then something's probably wrong. Anyway, so that's it. I hope that helps clarify a little bit and gives you some food for thought. I know it wasn't the most articulate thing ever, but, that's how I roll. So, any questions, definitely let me know, and that's it. Thanks.